Hey. Today, let's talk about how might you convince your boss about your team's training requirements or augment your team a bit by using something let's call the radar chart to show visually what your team needs and how you might be able to fulfill those needs, visually showing these are my requirements to your team and matching that to the business needs. So how might you do this using a radar chart? And I've done a version of this for my work, my previous for the UX community, UX Philippines nonprofit community, and it's a nice way to visualize. Okay, where do we need to go? What do we need to improve on? Let's talk about more about this today. Good morning. I am Ellie. I'm the customer experience head, customer experience head of digital transformation office in a large conglomerate in the Philippines, and founder of a nonprofit design community based in the Philippines. And today, let's talk about how to convince your boss to get you more training by using a tool like this to map your your team's needs and how to align it with the business. Basically, you'd be using something like this. It's called a radar chart, I believe it's called, and you need to do a couple of things. Let me show you how I've used this, a version of this, and you can do it with Google Sheets. And I'll show you how I did it with Google Sheets. So I have something like this. Let me zoom it in if I can zoom it in for you to see. Zoom. There you go. So I start off by figuring out what does my team do in terms of requirements in a week. Trying to find out what does your business need, and you can do this if you are able to map out the current number of hours that a team member averages on certain tasks a week. Like how many of your team members are working on qualitative research throughout the year, throughout the past months. Make an average of how many hours they spend for each. Like how many hours did they spend in qualitative research? How many hours did they spend in quantitative research, visual design, in interaction design, in facilitation, presenting, writing, information architecture. So you can change this based on what is appropriate for you or your company. But it's a good idea to take a look. What are your team spending their time on based on the needs of your company? And specifically, try to find out if there are certain tasks that are demanding more, but you don't have enough teammates or your team is not sufficiently trained for that skill. So then what you do is you have them fill up this a radar chart like this, individual radar chart, which I have done for my team in both the UX design community, local UX design community, and actually at work as well. Oops. Let me just zoom out so you can see more. So for each of your team members, these are fictional team members, these aren't my actual team members, have them fill out where do they, how much they actually spend. Time is way better, but in this case, I had them, this was a self-reported, uh, res- uh, this is self-reported how much time they are spending in something. In this case, how much they perceive. I think that I did not use time here. I used how if you rate yourself 1 to 5 in a criteria, where would you be? How much? Where would you? How would you rate yourself right now? And then ask them where would you rate yourself, or where would you want to go? Where would you like to improve? For instance, this guy is particularly good at facilitation, writing, and information architecture, and he would like to go to at least a four in each of those skills. And our assumption is you can set a time frame. 6 months is a good target. So if they want to grow, and you can show it visually, and this is very helpful for me when I do this exercise. Yeah, I see that, okay, Kai wants to grow in terms of presenting quite a bit more, so communication skills now. And then you do it for the rest of your team. Okay, this is where Mike wants to grow, and you can see it, how they want to grow. So it's very nice for me to see how they want to improve their skill sets. And then you take a look at another team member like Ken, how these are fictional characters, by the way, these aren't real people. Uh, how does he want to grow in terms of qualitative research? He wants to go to three, but visually it's easier to see. Boom, I see that. He wants to learn more about interaction design. He already views himself as very high in visual design. Now you can actually map this as well compared to how much they actually spend their time on in the company. And this is something I'm experimenting on. Not really applied it yet. It's because it's been difficult for me to track what they actually spend their time on. But I have a couple of ideas experimenting on how to maximize that. If you have some sort of task management system, you could easily download this in your logs. So compare that versus how they view themselves and where they want to be in terms of their career path. Now, once you have this, you could show this to your bosses. This is a composite. This is a combination of all the skills where where the teammates view themselves currently. So you can see, okay, these are where my teammates view themselves, and you can also find that immediately show where your weakness is. For example, in this case, it seems like the weakness here is on quantitative research. My team is weak in quantitative research. Once you have identified that, and let's see where do they want to go. So you see, number of them want to grow into quantitative research. For instance, Kai and in this case, Dean, for instance, wants to go to learn more about quantitative research. So you're aligning that, and if you can match it with the company's needs, for instance, you can match it, make another chart for your company's needs and match it. You can use these as evidence for your boss. Boss, we're spending this much time on quantitative research, and the team wants to grow in quantitative research. May I have more training for them? And you can do the cost estimates now. Training for them would be, say, if it's a Norman Nielsen training, for instance, is at least uh, 80 to 100,000 for 5 days, similar to HFI's training, which is probably 110,000 for 20 days of training in Human Factors International. So you can show them that this is the requirements of the team, and is the requirements of the business, and is aligned with the team's career interests. Can we invest in them? Why? If they are better at these areas, if they are better in quantitative research, they would the assumption is they would be faster at their work, or they may produce better quality output if they had proper training, or if you fulfill the needs of the company a bit more, you will churn more and better content, faster and better content, right? So use something like this to help visualize to your bosses, where can your team grow, by mapping this and then mapping it with the team, the business needs, which you should have. In a previous episode, I talked about outputs, right? uh, Outcomes over output. So He's an output, but now we're aligning the needs of the business, making sure we have the team and resources to match that. Okay, I hope you found this useful. If you would like to see the rest of the series, visit le.cx, where I talk about design, productivity, health, when I have time to talk about it. And see you. I hope you enjoy your day today. And yeah, see you. Enjoy your day today. Hope your day is awesome as you are. And bye bye now. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.